A camera pans across a white room filled with antique furniture and creepy collectibles, which is already bad enough, but when it stops at a tall old mirror, they seem surprised to find a childlike silhouette filling out the frame. As they are studying the child in their shaky gaze, a pair of identical orbs float above her head as two pinpoints of light become barely visible, almost like she is turning her head slightly. I guess this shadow child could simply be a large doll. However, even if this was the case, as far as I'm aware, only the eyes of the living can reflect light like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a lifeless doll should never have glowing eyes. The person recording sees the eyes and tears up the steps in a hurry. They would later refer to the event only as the girl with sparkling eyes in the dark. This doll room is said to be quite haunted, and you're about to see why when this tassel starts moving by itself. It looks like certain portions of the covers move by themselves, as indicated by their square motion boxes, but it's actually just this woman who is moving in her sleep and easy to miss. So either this is fake, or the combined paranormal energy of all these creepy dolls is enough to get this ornament to move. What's scarier, Bigfoot or a shadow figure? Shared by Redditor Haunted Luca. This video's mystery could be either. Watch the top right corner of the frame closely.
Oh well. Yeah, did you see the big tree break over there? It was a good snap.
Did you see it? Here it is again.
There's a big tree break over there. It's a good snap.
It looks too solidly dark to be a Bigfoot to me, and I'm of the opinion that a shadow figure is scarier than a Bigfoot, so this Redditor might want to find a different corner of nature to picnic in. The story of Sally in the Wood goes something like this. Located outside Bath in Somerset, there's a road that passes into the woodland of Brown's Folly, which locals refuse to drive down after dark due to the terrifying legend surrounding it, known by locals as Sally in the Wood. It is said that no birds can be heard chirping through this stretch of the forest, as a girl has her life taken there and now haunts the place. Some say they've heard a screaming child in the dark forest, and some have seen a full-bodied apparition of a girl racing into the road at night. The legends are all over the place about Sally in the Woods. According to some, Sally was an 18th century gypsy girl who was held captive in a tower, where she perished. The website Wiltshire Paranormal claims that this story is entirely fictional and that the name Sally in the Woods more likely came from a battle that occurred at Brown's Folly in 1643. As Sally is slang for skirmish, this could very well be true. However, the Bathford Society claims that Sally was an actual person, but not the only one who passed away in a tower. This legend claims that Sally was a witch living in a hut in the woods. Local records put Sally's passing at the age of 100, although that wouldn't really explain her appearance as a young girl ghost, unless Sally the witch had the ability to appear youthful. Regardless of what you choose to believe, the generational legend of Sally in the Woods lives on, and the resulting fear can be felt throughout this video, published to YouTube by the Abandoned Prepper in March of 2020, examining various parts of the house up close. The Abandoned Prepper wanders through this haunted place solo. Some parts of the house appear deeply aged, while others recall the more recent past. There's an old piano, a strange lock on the door, and an old photo box in the basement that appears as though they're from another century, but other parts of the home look as though they're from the 60s or 70s. Prepper says that he can hear water running and regularly hears strange noises. Shortly after entering, there's a definite sound of glasses clinking about upstairs while he is downstairs.
My days, this is massive. I'm getting a bit scared now. Hello?
Prepper calls out to alert anyone else exploring the house to his presence. He also said the house has recently become a hotspot for urban explorers. He returns to the first floor and then upstairs to the second. He keeps hearing strange noises throughout. Birds are chirping and the sound of running water.
What? Someone's flooding the basement.
He compares the house to Amityville and says it definitely gives him bad vibes. While he explores the adjacent house, at one point he enters a room. Notice there's no blue ball here. He heads upstairs and there's a loud sound of something wooden slamming or falling down. When he returns to that same room later, there's a blue ball in the middle of it. The call is coming from inside the house. He also finally discovers where the sound of running water was coming from. The basement of the house is being flooded. There's a hose passing down there, so it looks like it was done intentionally. As he's getting ready to head out of the home, he turns the corner to descend the stairs. That's when you hear the strike of a piano key.
Off. Hello?
While at the same time the hallway light bulb is swinging back and forth, he races down to catch whoever struck the cord, but there's no one. Finally outside, he turns back to look at the dark shell of a house. You can literally feel the creepiness shed away from you. At the westernmost edge of Taylor Valley is a glacier where the ice runs red. Experts are baffled as to what this vile reaction is made out of and where these eruptions are coming from. Surface samples reveal this red sludge is a mix of salt water and mystery compounds unlike any other. They suspect this strange red water pours forth from a system of complex underwater caverns that have never been explored before. No one has a clue what else is down there, but it's got to be creepy beyond belief if the opening of this glacier is any indication. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Under the ice, they found small unknown organisms that can somehow survive extreme temperatures beneath a sheet of ice with no food or light. Researchers are currently investigating water samples taken from this area in hopes of solving this mysterious unexplained video. We'll just have to remain creeped out until they find an answer. Two grown men are roaming the woods when they come across a creature that's making some very guttural warning noises. Suddenly, something wrapped in baggy robes lunges straight at them. As far as I can tell, only one of them makes it to the car, and then I don't think it ends well. No other information on this video is available. What's more terrifying than your child staring at something invisible in the middle of the night when you hear someone talking to her? Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, El Soto14 explains, everyone was asleep in the house, but something told me to check my daughter's monitor. She was sleeping, then sat up and stared at the door. The Redditor is wondering what the strange noise might be at the 10-second mark of the recording. There seems to be a consensus in the comments that the voice says the word listen. Others say it just sounds like a frog croaking to them. The Redditor notes that her daughter doesn't remember anything from the incident, whatever the voice is saying. If it really is a voice, the girl sitting up, seemingly aware of the presence, in and of itself is terrifying.
Do you hear that?
Aries Safari 13 and their friend hear a mysterious knocking on the door of the laundry room. Listen again.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that?
That's not a washing machine, that's knocking. They go to the door and there's nothing there as far as I can tell, but that doesn't mean there isn't a ghost in the hallway haunting them. When they go up to the door, it stops, but that just makes this TikTok video even scarier in my opinion, because it's like the ghost is messing with them. Two friends are taking a swim in the clear blue seas. One of them does the backstroke and incidentally saves them both from disaster.
Oh, get in the boat, get in the boat. Look, he's right there. He's right there. What the f is that? Get in the boat, get in the boat, get in the boat, get in the boat. Get in the shark right there. No shit. I'm not kidding.
And it wasn't just passing by either. The shark doubles back for a second look, no doubt tracking their scent to the exact area where they just were.
Look at him. He's coming right here. Oh!
Amateur footage was shot somewhere in an underground sewage system. The cameraman is presumably a maintenance worker who is wearing a chest cam. Little did he expect to find a humanoid down there with him. The video begins with the cameraman seemingly frozen in place. The camera is very still, as if the maintenance worker is too afraid to move. Maybe he heard a noise and is waiting for a creature to reveal itself. Suddenly, a pair of floating eyes peer at him from the distance. The eyes appear to belong to some sort of nocturnal predator. They reflect so much light that all you can see are two gigantic white dots that are roughly as wide around as flashlights. The humanoid does not appear to have much experience with humans and seems apprehensive as it peers around the corner. It decides to run away and the cheap camera cuts out before we can see any more of the chase. The creature seems incredibly fast and probably got away, but exactly what happened next is anyone's guess. The video footage survived, so the cameraman probably did as well. Then again, maybe they recovered it from his dead body instead. There's just not enough information out there to say for sure. The UK explorer reaches the top floor of an abandoned house and finds himself standing outside of an old break room kitchen. He takes a single step inside and is met with the sound of old material crumbling beneath his feet.
Just going into one of the rooms that we found in a house that belonged to the factory. Nice kitchen. I did in fact fall. Luckily I didn't go right through.
He falls up to his waist and puts his arms out at the last second to save himself, shutting off his camera in the process. A newly formed hole in the brittle floor shows a massive drop, ending in piles of sharp-edged debris. Even if he did survive the fall, no one was around to help 4 miles in all directions. Number 11. Jordan Powers sees something in the sky, and all his mom can do is get mad at him for it.
What are you looking at?
She doesn't see anything and thinks that he has lost his mind, but we can see them just fine. Mysterious lights, 5 of them all flying in a strange formation. Jordan describes these unexplained lights as silver in color, and months later still has no idea what they were. It happened in Kelowna, a city in the Canadian province of British Columbia. Somebody from Virginia says they've seen the same lights and describes them as hiding in the clouds. I'll admit this short 13-second video is not a lot to go on, but what little evidence there is does look unedited and quite bizarre. Hopefully I can find a longer video taken by somebody else on the same day to confirm this sighting is real. A restaurant worker named Bogues182 says that he uploaded this video from his place of work. Some trays clatter to the ground when nobody is around. I guess he thought it was weird enough to check the tapes later that night. This is what he and the work crew saw. I suppose that someone could have been off camera throwing trays, but I'm not sure exactly where they would be standing when this happened, if that were the case. Mysterious, unexplained lights were recently sighted over Brazil, just north of Rio de Janeiro. The diagonal formation of strange lights stretches into the night sky and blinks in and out of sight. It's not a constellation because there are no stars in the sky, just these strange, unexplained lights that slowly move to the right and glow a fierce red when the camera zooms in. As the camera moves across the city to show there are no stars, they see more strange lights in the sky. These ones closer to Earth, a large column of lights at 56 seconds that should not be there at all. It looks like it could be a building, but according to them it's not. More lights seem to drop and lower to the ground, but it's too far away to tell. When he zooms out, he is surprised to find most of the skylights are already gone. This happened on June 24th of 2020, and if you're wondering why I was never reported on the news, maybe it's because we were never supposed to find out. You may remember this story from one of my previous videos, where Steve Ronan and his group of friends found a lost girl in a deep underground cave. One of the people with him was fellow YouTuber Exploring with Josh, and we can analyze his footage of the event for more clarity on what happened. The group stumbled upon this scared girl while exploring the cave, and they reunite her with her parents. What remains unclear is how this girl managed to wander so deep into the cave with no flashlight or supplies.
We were so curious to know what was through this tunnel. This is crazy, man. It's okay. It's alright. This is the way back.
Numerous news agencies have now covered the story, with none being able to offer an explanation. Nevertheless, she was clearly lost, and if it wasn't for these YouTubers saving the day, she may have never made it out of that cave. This terrifying footage was filmed in an elevator in Chile. Jose Acevedo gets on the lift and presses the button. Little does he know that this will be the ride that changes his life forever. As soon as the button is pressed, the doors violently snap shut and the elevator lurches upwards. Jose knows that something is majorly wrong and immediately presses the emergency stop button. Instead of stopping, however, the elevator climbs even faster. There's literally nothing for the man to do except repeatedly push the button, while panicking as the elevator races up 31 floors in less than 15 seconds. Finally, he begins to swat at every button, adrenaline taking over as he desperately hopes that just one button will work and bring an end to this terrible ride. He is absolutely helpless and appears to be too scared to even scream. Unfortunately for him, the only thing stopping this elevator is the roof itself. The elevator slams into the top of the building at full speed, and inside, Jose's broken body slams against the crumpled walls. He survives somehow, but now he has severe head and leg injuries. Also, the damage to his spine means he is sadly unlikely to ever walk again. While hiking in the woods of Slovakia, this hiker didn't realize he was being stalked until it was nearly too late. Published by Lion Plays Mobile in January of 2022, this hiker is capturing video in the woods as forest noises sound all around him. After a moment, you can see something large in the trees, rattling them aggressively. The unknown creature roars, and the hiker drops his camera downward and starts running. What is haunting the forests of Slovakia? Is it a bear or something out of a horror story? This is said to be a real ghost video from Singapore. A woman jogs down the road when she has a creepy encounter with a stranger who may or may not be paranormal. She doesn't hear any footsteps until he is running away. It's like he was never behind, and when she looks to where he just was, he's gone. Then he passes again and things get even scarier. You could pass somebody twice like this if you ran a wide loop around them, but why he would do this and scare her is something I doubt we could ever explain. I don't think this is paranormal, but I do think acting this way is not normal. I think it's most likely a short film, but there are no credits, and it presents itself as a real ghost video caught on camera in the description. Strange things have been happening in this guy's house, which he says seem demonic. Published by Cayman Poe in May of 2011, he and his friends are up at 1 in the morning, waiting to see if anything unusual happens. After a time, they hear something from outside the room. They go downstairs to check it out but find nothing.
Hello?
But after heading back to their room, they hear another sound, this one louder than the last. They return downstairs and notice that the bathroom door is now closed. When they tell the demon to show himself or reveal that he's there, he does. They race back upstairs while considering calling the cops, but when they hear the demon again,
Hello? I hear it again.
they are lured downstairs. The door is open. This time, the demon doesn't wait for them.
To the left. What the fuck?
Most people think of houses, hospitals, or jails when they think about ghost sightings, but some of the most unsuspecting of places can turn out to be the most haunted. This footage was taken in a popular food joint during broad daylight. A shadowy ghost suddenly materializes in a Subway restaurant. It starts out in the shape of a human and almost appears to be getting a table. When it gets back to its seat, the black shadow suddenly changes into a floating black blob of an orb. At this point, an employee or maybe a customer appears to see the ghost in the doorway. Whoever they are, they look stunned for a second and then quickly back away. The shadow orb pays no attention to the human as it floats up to the window and lingers there. It's almost as if it's taking a look at the outside world. The ghost starts to rise even higher and shrinks until it fully disappears back to wherever it came from. A YouTube channel called The Paranormal Detectives investigates the Morton Corbet Castle in England. A man named Paul Holmyard cursed this property after his exile sometime during the late 1500s. And centuries later, his curse still apparently stains these walls. The paranormal detectives set up 2 haunted dolls of their own to act as spiritual conduits for anything nearby. Not only does one of their dolls, Elizabeth, fall over, but this strange black line begins leaking from its neck onto the wall behind. Fully stretched out at 1 minute and 53 seconds, it almost looks like some kind of tentacle or even a parasite. Is this special effects? Or could we be witnessing a spiritual entity caught on camera while leaving Elizabeth? This is it, the scariest forest to explore in terms of ghost hunting. The location of this scary forest is far more well known than its actual name. That's because you have to go to the Romanian countryside of Transylvania to get here, the same place where the legend of Dracula began. Okay, so this place is called the Hoia Baciu Forest, and there's a good reason why not too many outsiders know about it. Locals believe that even mentioning its name is enough to curse you with a lifetime of misfortune, which is making me wish someone else narrated this video. Ask around for long enough and you might find somebody willing to tell you about a shepherd who, hundreds of years ago, went into this forest with 200 sheep to let them eat grass and never returned. Peasant villagers soon lost their lives to his vengeful spirit, and the area's haunted reputation quickly spread. As more lives were lost, the number of ghost sightings continued to grow. I'm not going to get into all of the individual haunted forest stories because there are simply too many to recall, but here are 3 scary videos taken in the woods that are worth mentioning because they help back them up. The first video was taken by a YouTuber named Bregis on July of 2014, and it shows in the center of the woods a circular clearing where absolutely no trees will grow. In fact, trees have not grown here for hundreds of years, in a perfectly symmetrical circle, and nobody knows why. Maybe this is where the shepherd and his flock all perished. Whatever happened here, there's something unholy about this area that always makes visitors nervous. And to further prove my point, in the center of this circle are 2 evenly spaced patches of dug up earth that look like they could be unmarked graves. What do you think is buried here? Videos of these woods are scary enough during the day, but exploring the cursed woods at night is even scarier. On July 29th, 2017, a YouTuber named Tanner Roth thinks he's brave enough to withstand a 3 a.m. haunted forest challenge in Transylvania. The trees start to look twisted and creepy, so they know they are close to the forest's haunted heart.
See, it's how knotted it is. These knots don't happen anywhere else outside this forest. I guess it's another way that they were saying that the forest is Dude, it just got super cold over here.
The camera goes out of focus as if a spirit is face to face with Tanner, and a passing chill makes his nose run. In his words,
It kind of feels like we shouldn't be here.
I couldn't have said it better myself, especially based on what he sees shortly thereafter. Tanner Roth senses something near, and so he calls out for Anthony, his camping buddy. He feels especially watched here, and look at what happens at 4 minutes and 28 seconds. No sooner does he say somebody is messing with me when an odd red light shows up. Tanner finds Anthony passed out at the campsite, cozy as can be. Anthony didn't pass the 3 a.m. haunted forest challenge, so it wasn't him. Strange glowing lights are said to be a common occurrence in this forest, and one of the reasons why locals don't dare to go near. On April 14th, 2018, a paranormal investigation team from Italy, called ASPIT, journeys to the center of the forest in search of a scare. This is what they find close to the haunted circle.
Sì, aspetta. Sì. Cazzo che urlare. Sì, anch'io. Non molla. Spero si sente. Vedi, tieni solo la palletta. Oddio, un urlo! Di nuovo!
It kind of sounds like a frog to me, but maybe not based on what happens next.
K2! Oh cazzo! Ci gira intorno!
As they strain their ears, they hear it again right as the K2 meter goes off, which makes it paranormal in my opinion. Sheep can make really shrill noises, so maybe it's the shepherd's wicked spirit. The pit crew runs some more experiments, such as asking the spirit to make their flashlight blink, which it does easily, and we no longer hear any animal noises at all during this time. The forest is eerily quiet. 5 minutes later, it decides to skip all of their testing and directly reveal itself.
Cosa?
Laggiù!
Cazzo! Aspetta che tolgo
Cioè, togli gli infrarotti, se no non si vede.
Lo vedi? Lo prendi?
Much to their horror and to my fascination, the light they see is remarkably similar to the light that Tanner Roth saw a year prior, except for a noticeable difference in color. They both saw a sphere of light roughly the same size in the same area, and probably therefore the same entity. The fact that two different teams from two different countries nonetheless would record the same thing is all the proof that I need to conclude that this forest is probably beyond haunted. Since the legends are apparently true, I can only imagine what the repercussions are on them for witnessing it in person, not to mention what will happen to us for seeing it on video. What if you were trailing an ambulance and you saw this in the rear window? This terrifying ghoul was caught on camera by a vehicle following the ambulance. Apart from the spirit, there appears to be two human passengers in the back of the ambulance, likely EMTs. As the camera focuses in, the spirit's ghastly facial features appear for a moment before whoever's filming loses control of the camera, likely terrified about what they'd just seen. What would you do if you saw this in the back of an ambulance? It's probably safest to back off. A YouTuber named Yuya makes a video about microwavable desserts, but it accidentally turns into a creepy doll video instead. The doll is caught moving on camera at 7 minutes and 14 seconds.
Los amo con el alma entera.
The doll moves its arms by itself at the end of the video for no reason at all. It has nothing to do with the topic of the video, and everyone is pointing out how weird it was. I don't think she was doing this for views, because if so, then it would most likely happen in the very beginning. Besides that, with over 20 million subscribers, Yuya is already a successful YouTuber and wouldn't need to do something like this for attention anyway. It never happens again, and hasn't happened since as far as I know. But if any other creepy doll videos end up on her channel, which I have a feeling they will, then I will be sure to give them a full analysis. It's almost midnight when this YouTuber makes the mistake of going for a late night motorcycle ride, completely unaware of the paranormal activity about to be caught on camera. He sees a figure in white and slows down, suddenly feeling unsafe and vulnerable with a ghost in his sights.
दाना पानी बीच है रात के लेट हुए हैं डर लग रहा है दोस्तों
As he speeds away, he says the mysterious figure appears and disappears in the side view mirror. I kind of see what he's saying, but the mirror is so dirty that I'm not sure if this proves much of anything. Still, what this person is doing by themselves at midnight is anyone's guess. They seem to be slowly looking for something, which is beyond creepy when you think about it. Alone at night in an empty school? Nothing to fear, right? Wrong. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Bartholomew Blackwell. The Redditor states that he was working solo in a school that was shut down and empty when he heard a sound in the hallway. The power had been put out by a storm the previous night, and with his flashlight on, he started recording. What he heard was haunting. In the dark school hallway, you can hear a faint wailing. It doesn't sound like anything recognizable, although Blackwell noted that to him, it sounded like a group crying. Some in the comments say that perhaps it's wind, or maybe even the Doppler effect of a vehicle of some kind moving past the school at high speed, noting that he too thinks it could be the wind heightened by a lack of power supply noise. Gus2155 admits, as someone who is a custodian at a high school, I've heard some strange noises, but nothing like that. Some think it could be a hive of zombies, others suggest a water pipe is running, or a backup generator might be starting up. At least we know Blackwell got out alive. There's a face in the wall. Can you see it?
That's face, you can see a face.
That's that.
The eyes are wide and black, and the face is a little more than a tiny frown. Then, after 1 minute and 5 seconds, I think I see a hand appear. They say it looks like the face of a girl, but the youngest daughter swears up and down that she had nothing to do with it.
She wasn't there last time. She never went. She never went, no.
And when, just for fun, they ask the face on the wall if it is the spirit of someone young or old, they get a weird response.
Put a light if you're a young girl.
So is this really a spirit, or just an imprint left behind of a child who stuck their face against a dirty wall? These contractors find themselves stuck on a roof after their ladder collapses, leaving them stranded 14 feet in the air with no way down. Soon they improvise a safety harness that looks to be little more than some cords haphazardly knotted together. I really doubt this design would realistically hold his weight, but let me know what you think. They are trying to figure out what to do next when they see something in the distance. Watch his feet closely and tell me if he looks like he almost loses his balance at the end.
There's a car! Come on! Hey! Hey!
He carefully lowers himself to the bottom and manages not to break the harness. The harness appears to be very loose at the end and could have come undone at any second. They show the drop at the end and it definitely looks like they were high up enough to cause some serious damage. Matt Maniaci lives near an airport with flight restrictions and heard that something weird and possibly bad happens to anyone who tries to fly a drone in. He isn't sure if it's true or not, so he decides to go right up to the no flight zone marker on his GPS and powers on his drone. The only thing left to do now is violate federal aviation regulations and see what happens. I was half expecting Homeland Security to come out in a van, or maybe even for his drone to randomly stop working. But instead, in his words,
just goes kind of sideways.
He presses forward, but the drone refuses to budge. Something is holding it back without damaging it, and I want to know how. Is this a low-level electromagnetic frequency jammer device? If not, how do you think it's being done? I'm glad he didn't get in trouble, because it's probably not a good idea to post a video potentially violating any laws, or maybe this is legal to begin with. Tell me if you think it is or not. A drone over the water sees a boat and randomly decides to follow it to see what happens. He awkwardly follows them for over 2 minutes while they point at him and seem pretty confused as to why they're being followed. There's nothing for them to do except wait for him to stop recording them and go find something else to do. I guess it's not really against the law because there's no expectation of privacy in public. But it's still kind of a weird thing to do, considering people are in their bathing suits and did not agree to do this. It's also somewhat of a boating hazard too, because the person steering has to be distracted. Let me know what you think about this video, and if you think he's violating any laws. If not, should the laws be stricter to prevent this kind of recording? I guess they're all fully aware the drone is there, but I could also see why people would be stressed out if it happened to them. A man claims to have been followed for over a year by strange drones.
Today's August 8th, Friday, August 8th, 2019. It's been hovering there, it's just there.
Ordinarily, I'd have trouble believing such a claim, but he has had lots of weird evidence that makes me wonder what's really going on. This is what they look like to the human eye. 3 different lights that look mysterious. This still image captures all 3 of them at once. The first 2 look the same size, but the third one looks smaller, farther away. If you've ever seen lights like this around your house, tell me what you think they are. The way they change colors is disorienting and odd. I thought maybe this was special effects, but at 1 minute he shows this is completely normal video. The lights look similar in each video, like a fingerprint every time he zooms in. And there are way too many videos like this one on his channel for him to fake. So what do you think is going on here? Is he being watched? Or is this all somehow in his mind?
But yeah, this is earlier today, and I'll go to another video where it's darker.
Mike Maps returns to Clinton Road, determined to catch something scary on drone at night. He and his friend are less worried about clowns and more interested in seeing if a phantom truck really does disappear at the end of Clinton Road. Like the legends say, it isn't long until a truck, phantom or not, passes by them and they try to follow it from above. Everything is going well until suddenly they lose sight of the truck, almost like it disappears, and the drone remains frozen in midair where the truck was last seen.
Here, use your phone. Yeah. Show my hand. Look, this is full throttle forward, and then show the drone. Watch. I'm full throttle. Look. Show my hand.
Bro, stop moving. Stop.
Look, it's going back. Look, it's going back.
It's going backwards. Oh my God.
It suddenly takes off on its own, and they find it stuck in a tree. But here's the weirdest part. While it's up there, it starts flashing red for no reason, much like the brake lights of a truck. What do you think about this? Is this proof that the legends are true?
And it's blinking red too.
A drone user takes matters into his own hands to break up a noisy party late at night with some Roman candles by the looks of it. The partygoers all scatter and flee as the drone launches low-powered Roman candles directly at them and their cars. Roman candles don't really do a lot of damage on impact, but what happens if someone took one to the eye, which has a pretty good chance of happening considering everyone is looking straight up. There's also a power line nearby that gets hit at 18 seconds, fortunately the pole and not any of the wires, before the next one goes straight into a tree, so this probably really wasn't a good idea. A YouTuber named S. Zachariah is exploring a construction site when he comes across a peculiar hole in the ground that somehow feels off. He is curiously poking around with a stick when an anguished voice calls out to him from below, followed by a strong underground wind. This part definitely sounds like a person crying out for help. Soon their cries are replaced by another sound, this one much different than the first. I don't think human vocal cords could ever produce the noises that follow. A final moan is soon drowned out by the chorus of supernatural screeches. Is this person being tormented by evil spirits, or is he himself becoming one of them?
I love waking up now on Saturdays and being able to enjoy my family. We never have to.
This video of the Watts family goes from heartwarming to horrifying. When you hear the terrible backstory, Shannon Watts talks about how happy she is while her husband Chris sits on the other side of the room, his back turned. Chris doesn't say hello or even move during this part. His mannerisms are very stiff and distant. He doesn't even seem to be looking at his kids.
Bella, say hi. Bella, say hi.
Sometime after this video was taken, Shannon and Chris got into a giant argument and he took her life. He gathered both of his daughters and took them along with his wife's body to his place of work while he buried his wife while they watched. Going back to the happy home video and listening to his children cry for their dad is sickening. You want to somehow save them, but there's nothing that you or anyone else can do.
And we're super excited. Bella, come here for a second, baby.
Sadly, after they were done witnessing the burial of their mother, Chris took their lives next. For this, he was sentenced to life behind bars without parole. You might want to rethink booking that Airbnb after seeing this scary video. Posted to the r/ghosts subreddit by Lemonisa. The Redditor writes that spooky sounds during the first night in this rental home in Norway kept waking her and her partner. This prompted her to start recording. This is what she captured. In an upper slanted window facing the living room, a mysterious white anomaly appears. After a moment, the anomaly slowly fades away before completely vanishing. It's not clear if the figure is beyond the window looking in, or something inside the house is being reflected. Some in the comments think it looks extraterrestrial. Others say it looks like a face or hand pressed against the glass. The Redditor mentions in the comments that this house was haunted. She says that they'd be sitting in the living room and would hear random things fall from the counter and strange noises from the basement. She notes that this first night in the home was especially creepy. Would you have the courage to remain a second night in the house if you saw this in the window? I sure wouldn't. A YouTuber named Concerned Citizen made this channel to expose his creepy neighbor, who he claims to have caught looking at his wife and other family members late at night. Here you can see the neighbor stare at the house and then briefly shine his high-powered flashlight through a window before walking away. I can think of no other reason for him to be doing this other than to watch the activities of the people inside, which is both bizarre and scary. He repeats this behavior throughout a series of videos, each time capturing a brief glimpse of a family member before retrieving back to his home. According to the police, there is nothing in the law against doing this because he is merely observing the home from his own property. Hopefully he stays in his yard and never gets the idea to take an even closer look one night. Sometimes you just want to kick back and relax, and then this happens. Published to YouTube in February of 2018, this YouTuber from Brandon, Manitoba, Canada writes, "Was watching TV when I heard noises, started to record and caught this." My apartment has things going on. In the clip, the uploader says he's been hearing some unexplained banging in the apartment. Soon the source of the banging demonstrates that he means business. A chair scrapes towards the camera across the floor on its own. Then behind it in the other room, a garbage can flips right over. It seems something in this house is out to get him. As Devon the 9th Hokage advises in the comments, you have to get out of there. Take Devon's advice before it's too late. This definitely looks paranormal to me. A YouTuber named Julie G797 was watching live BBC News coverage of a workers' strike in Hong Kong when he catches what seems to be undeniable evidence of a UFO.
There you go. Look at that. Descending on the top of that building.
The mysterious green light hangs around the top of a building for only moments before shooting straight up into the sky. This footage was taken directly from the television screen and seems very hard, if not impossible, to fake. Right now, people are mostly debating if the light is too big to be a quadcopter drone. I guess it could be a drone, but if not, I think this very well may be a legitimate alien UFO sighting. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Purgatory Adventures. This Redditor wrote, "Check out this crazy scream we captured while spending the night in a haunted location in Saskatchewan, Canada." Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about.
Yeah. Kick it again. Yeah, I can see the lights.
No, it's cave.
You're gonna sit there? You gonna sit there?
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Lady Mania wrote, I barely hear a scream. I only hear regular noises and the two people talking. Well, Corn TJE wrote, sounds like a cat in my opinion. Did you hear the scream the uploader is talking about? If so, what do you think is causing it? Let me know in the comments. A YouTube channel called Free For All plans to explore a series of tunnels underneath Minneapolis that are rumored to eventually lead to a place called Satan's Cave, which no one has ever seen before. The group of friends grow progressively dirtier as they squeeze through narrow opening after narrow opening, sometimes climbing through sections of the tunnel that have almost completely collapsed just to see what's next. Soon the brick walls give way to smooth gray stone that more closely resembles the likes of a cave. When they see these highly detailed faces carved into the wall, they know they are on the right track. It's definitely a creepy sight for sure, but walls are still covered with tons of graffiti, which means that 1 million people have been here before. They aren't crossing new territory, at least not yet. After a while, they happen upon a side tunnel that seems to be unmarked and unexplored. They have to hunch over and eventually crawl on their hands and knees in order to continue. It's a long time before they stumble upon what has to be the narrow mouth of Satan's Cave. The cave eventually opens into a cramped chamber of sorts. The situation becomes all too real when they realize the hole in the wall is too narrow to crawl through. There is a hole to their left that leads straight down into pitch black darkness. Everyone gets an uneasy feeling about this huge floor opening, and they wisely decide to turn back around. Judging from the cave's nickname, I definitely wouldn't want to see what's down that final hole either. A CCTV video captures an ill-mannered apparition as it ravages a store just 20 minutes shy of 3 a.m. It slinks across the far wall first, knocking 2 items off the opposite shelf as it moves down the aisle. To be honest though, the way this object on the top shelf gets caught at 13 seconds looks like it could be pulled by a string. Next, the shadow somehow passes across the aisle without appearing in the glass or the bright reflection on the floor. A minute later, the door to the cooler shakes hard enough to rattle the glass in its pain. Camera 7 shows the outside of the cooler, and camera 8 shows the inside. Nobody is anywhere nearby, or in the entire store for the matter, and yet the door shakes uncontrollably. I think this could be a real poltergeist because of one simple fact. This door is airtight to keep the drinks cold. It has no knob to grab onto and must be opened with a button on the wall. Therefore, I don't think somebody could have made it shake like this, even if they stood on the other side and tried. Redditor Go Bartlett went apartment viewing, and what they spotted in the footage later gave them pause. Watch the walkthrough and see if you can spot it. Did you see it? Keep your eye on the far corner of the room, next to the window. It looks like a tentacle reaches out from the corner of the wall before disappearing a moment later. The Redditors in the comments had some thoughts. Well, the comments on this one are the usual mixed bag. I personally like to think something Stranger Things-esque is living in the walls here. I too would skip this one. When demons speak, you listen. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Regal. The Redditor explains that he and some friends listened back to the voice recording of an EVP when they heard this demon or spirit, which sounds like it's speaking directly into the recorder. In the recording, you can hear the group asking the spirit if he can let them know he is present.
Just let me know you are here. See, it's a roach party over here.
After asking this question a couple times, a clear voice is heard, and he wants one thing from the living. He wants them to get out. In the Reddit thread, Regal explains that a neighbor from his apartment complex in Reno, Nevada, told him that he'd seen a tall shadow man in the mirror, leering behind him. Then they experienced some poltergeist activity as a protein container threw itself across the room at them when they entered the neighbor's house. He suspected the demon also possessed his neighbor, as the man kept blacking out, only to awake standing in the corner of the room. The neighbor also suffered from unexplained scratches on occasion. Redditor Jazzed Out writes, "That sounds like a malevolent spirit to me, and not a demon. And to add to this, demons are easier to identify when and if they speak, because they will be speaking in a language called Aramaic, which is more difficult to understand. Demon or malevolent spirit, to be honest, don't know which is worse." A YouTube channel called Exploring with Felicity goes in search of a spirit called the White Lady of Lancashire, who is said to be looking for her lost child. Felicity stands over her memorial, or rather her memorial stands over her, and she says the words which, according to legend, are meant to make the statue's eyes open.
"I stolen your baby."
This push from behind is probably real, because you can hear someone laying hands on her before she takes a step forward. Felicity feels dizzy and immediately regrets ever provoking the supernatural. The weather worsens and the wind picks up this wail, which sounds like a banshee more than an animal. Felicity heads down the trail with haste and finds out for herself that the legends are all real after all. A shadowy form glides across the trail and then disappears. It's too far away to see for certain whether this was a normal person or the lady herself, so we may never know for sure. Leaked video comes from the Kaluzhsky airport in Russia. One of the planes loses all stability and wobbles unsteadily, trying its best to navigate a safe path through heavy air currents. The pilot continues to wrestle with the controls, which are becoming more unstable by the minute, and I think I see a small fire under the wheel. If he misses the runway here, there's no circling around for a second chance. The wings dip unevenly as the plane disappears behind the tree line. No one can see what is happening and they listen for the worst. A short while later, the plane miraculously emerges from behind the trees and touches down. The passengers get to live another day. Jake Toffee is in his living room when someone pulls open the screen door really slowly and just lets it shut. No follow-up knock, no footsteps walking away, nothing. Even his dog is wondering what the deal is. Jake stops recording to check and claims no one was outside. It's creepy, but it's too bad he didn't record out of his window to prove that his house is as haunted as he says it is. There's no more haunted a place than a 20th century lockup. Published to YouTube by Heather Hauntings in March of 2020. Heather and her man are staying in a cell where inmates have allegedly passed away. The result? Major paranormal activity as evidenced in these two videos. Last used in 1984, the jailhouse was once the scene of at least one life-taking, and another person locked up took their own life. Of course, with such a twisted history, many believe former inmates now haunt its grounds. Paranormal investigators have heard caustic sounds, footsteps, and voices. Even the historian believes the place is haunted. Bullard told the Jasper News, "Let's just say I went to the front door and left quickly. I heard something. I saw something that moved like a shadow, and I didn't stick around."
Here all night?
It seems enough of a warning for these paranormal investigators to know they're about to experience something truly chilling. In one video, they explore talking to the spirits via the spirit box, meanwhile hearing strange noises throughout the building. At one point, when they black out the room, loads of EVPs can be heard on the spirit box. In the second video, as they're staying overnight in the cell, they attempt to communicate with the spirits again. After asking if another inmate took the life of the spirit, they hear a distinctive yes twice on the EVP.
Yes. That was a very clear yes.
At around 14 minutes 30 seconds into the video, they start to hear the lightest of footsteps. They attempt to catch some shut-eye in the cell, and around 3 a.m., the witching hour, something bangs loudly, awakening them. Around the same time they heard this noise, Greg says he felt something touch his leg. Needless to say, they couldn't go back to sleep in the cell. Could you? I certainly wouldn't.
Wait. That's the moon on the right. So what the that?
A TikToker named Zandorf looks up to see a large object dwarfing the moon.
Oh yeah, it is. It does do it on mine. You just have to line it up right.
It's not a street lamp because there's nothing underneath of it. Stranger still, the moon isn't even visible on his friend's phone when he tries to take a picture. So is Zandorf really telling the truth?
You don't see anything. Like we need to take a picture of like the difference.
That's so weird. What the there it is. Look.
I think that the larger object could actually be the real moon, which makes the smaller circle a lens flare. This is the only explanation that makes sense to me, unless he really was looking at something much larger and many times brighter than the moon itself. A YouTuber named Bloodzack12 is investigating a forest that's supposedly haunted. He and his friends don't see anything for a long time until they come across some weird discarded opera mask laying on top of an old dirty clothes pile. A short distance away they find another opera mask hanging up in the trees. They decide to take this one home and study it for clues. They are talking about what to do next when Bloodzack12 notices something hunched over in front of them. Someone dressed in all black looks up at them from the thickets and then gives a short chase. I have a hard time believing this video is real because of the movie-like sound effects and timing, but I guess it is possible. Let me know if you think they were genuinely being chased by some maniac lurking in the woods, or if the third person was just a friend. This Snapchat video was taken at a school in Esterville, Iowa. You can see a deer standing outside looking very confused before it suddenly tries to get in without warning.
Watch out!
Clearly, the zombie deer wants to get inside however it can, searching around the sides of the glass for an opening before giving up and resuming its confused vegetative state. Those inside are lucky that this deer is too small to break the glass. If this was a full-grown deer running at them, things could have been much different. Hopefully, they contacted animal control and thoroughly disinfected this door before letting anyone touch it. In Mexico, a security guard was making his rounds at a store when he captured these paranormal manifestations on camera. First, he sees this spooky cart playing mind games.
Cabrón. Ahí está la primera cosa. No mames, no mames.
He later enters what appears to be a storage room, and the mannequins attack.
Así normalmente es. Casi toda la basura es de aquí, de Soriana. Todo lo que te... No mames.
He continues his tour when a scary Santa starts to dance.
Yo refiero cerca. Hola amigo, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? No vengo a molestarte. A ver, vamos a acercarnos poquito. No, si me da quiz.
Well, this one is clearly automated. What triggered it? The guard leaves the room and returns, and again Santa comes to life and then jumps ship.
Que pedo. No manches. Oh. Ay, que pedo, no manches.
What do you make of this creepy series of events? In my opinion, while the automated Santa may have just been malfunctioning, the shopping cart and mannequin are harder to dismiss. If you do a seance in a haunted home, expect the spirits to come out to play. Published by Ali H in March of 2022, something is wreaking havoc in this haunted house. After seeing this unexplained mess in their kitchen, this couple was left wondering who is responsible.
I closed the gate. I closed the gate. I closed the gate.
Maybe it's this weeping spirit. Do you hear that? Later, Ali is in another room of the home when a loud thud sounds from the next room. He goes to check it out and finds the spirits have made another tornado of a mess.
Oh no.
He tries to communicate with the poltergeist through a spirit box, and as he's recording, the spirit pulls up a chair.
Oh my.
Later, Ali hears someone or something coming up the stairs. Are the spirits gathering round? It certainly seems like it. Michael Eidelstein recorded this bizarre encounter with his phone in 2016 to show that it was haunted, and many people have agreed with him ever since. What's really weird is how this phone apparently waits until Michael is almost finished recording and then hits a completely different number, followed by 2 sevens and an asterisk. I can't say for sure if this is paranormal or not, because it could just be a glitch or maybe even water on the screen. Let me know if you've ever had anything odd like this happen to your phone, and if you are a phone technician, tell me what the odds are of this happening to such a wide variety of buttons at once. Things get loud in this poltergeist paradise. Posted to TikTok, the original footage is from Dark Ghost Paranormal. In the clip, someone is wandering through a clearly haunted house. You can hear repeated banging before you can see the creepy poltergeist in the act. The culprit in the kitchen cupboard, whose door is banging over and over again. It seems like it will never end, but all of a sudden it stops. As the person steps into the kitchen, a deep gong is heard from another direction. They whip around and are looking toward a refrigerator, but there's nothing there. Although there's thankfully no jump scare, there's certainly something going on in this poltergeist paradise. Is Lainey and Ben's poltergeist getting stronger? Watch this video and judge for yourself. As usual, the poltergeist seems to be most active in the kitchen.
Activity more and more aggressive.
He has even resorted to ruining their dinner.
Poltergeists just seem to be so frustrated.
Oh, bless them. Oh, bless them.
And he isn't finished. It goes without saying that Lainey and Ben share space with one of the most active poltergeists on YouTube. I don't know if Dave and Andy are becoming more aggressive due to anger, or if their YouTube following is cheering them on. This video of the Ishima Hoyashi Bridge in Japan looks like one of the scariest places in the world to drive over and has the internet freaking out. It resembles a terrifying roller coaster more than a bridge, but I found a video of someone going over it, and while the ride is creepy, it's probably not as bad as you thought. I just wanted to show what going over this bridge is really like, since the video went viral not too long ago. The reason why the bridge is built like this is to give extra room for boats to go under. It makes sense, but doesn't really make it any less scary, especially if you already have a fear of bridges to begin with. While driving down a cemetery bypass road, a creepy figure was spotted in the darkness. Published by Asmani Tagat in April of 2022. Dressed in white, this ghostly woman was captured on camera by the driver. As they approach the woman, she continues to just stand there. Only her long dark hair and white robe move slightly with the breeze. What is this woman doing? Is she warning them? Or should they steer clear? A light at the far end of a room is swinging by itself when all of the other lights are as still as can be. Now, before you tell me that it's under a vent, let me show you the same room from a different angle. Look all the way to the ceiling where the fluorescent light is grounded. No vents anywhere. So what's the deal here? Am I missing something major? Or is this light swinging on its own momentum when there's nothing to make it move? Seeing something other than wild animals and nature in the forest is always creepy. So what if you saw this? James Jones published a creepy figure that he'd caught on video in the forest in June of 2012. He explained that he was currently making a homemade indie horror flick for which he wrote his own script. After setting up a prop ritual circle in the middle of the forest, based off of research for his film, he ran some rehearsals and then headed home. He returned the next afternoon to film more. That's when he spotted this figure. In his own words, I don't have any explanation on what it is. The reason why this is so weird is because this figure is exactly where I had created the ritual circle last night. When he returned with his camera that evening, the figure had disappeared. From afar, it appears like a hooded demon wearing a black robe. It's unmoving. While many in the comments believe it's just a tree or a stump, others wonder if the uploader was reaping the consequences of setting up a ritual circle in the forest. What do you think it is? Many paranormal investigators have spent the night at the Stanley Hotel for obvious reasons. YouTuber Franco TV is one of them. Very soon into his stay, the spirits are speaking.
I just heard something.
I can't.
They tell Franco what they need from him.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Seance.
Seance.
In another room, Franco hears something.
I got the doors moving. Hello? Someone's in here.
When he approaches the door, it moves.
This door literally just moved. The thing is, I have a night vision camera right on the other side watching.
What is happening?
You tell me.
Another loud sound is heard on a still camera, though we can't see where it's coming from. He discovers who is at the Stanley with him.
What is here with me? Or who is here with me? It sounded like it said the captain.
Flashing back to an old video, Franco is convinced he knows exactly who he's speaking to.
That is the gentleman that haunts this floor. Mr. Dunraven. If you look right here, it says it even right there.
And the Capitan doesn't seem to want him around.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the candle.
I just had a door closed on me.
Obviously, the Stanley Hotel's reputation holds up. After seeing this video, I want to know more about the Capitan and his unfinished business. This is one for the books. Published by ABCD in April of 2009, this phantom was reportedly captured in Bangalore. The scary clip shows a semi-transparent woman emerging from a wall. With long dark hair and dressed in white, the apparition glides across the floor, traveling straight through all objects around her, including a gate, before disappearing out of frame. What do you think of this full-bodied apparition? I'm just gonna put it out there. It's one of the realest looking ghosts I've ever seen. I don't know if this episode of CK Taylor's show is more odd or terrifying. Today's item on the menu is gooey duck, which is an oversized clam, not a duck, though it does look extraordinarily gooey. Forget about the appearance for 1 second and let me ask you this. Would you be able to eat anything that sounds like a hissing balloon?
เราจะมาลองชิมกันเป็นคือมันยังเป็นอยู่นะคะ
It doesn't get any prettier or less odd looking when you remove the first layer of skin. If anything, it just looks twice as terrifying as before. And when CK Taylor cracks open the shell, the rest of its body looks like some kind of tumor. This is what it looks like when it's fully prepared, which I will admit looks more like a regular piece of seafood, but still like something from another dimension. So that's a hard pass from me. To be fair, I'm sure CK Taylor is an excellent chef, and her husband says it tastes good when he tries it.
It tastes good. Right?
No.
Would you be brave enough to take a bite? This dashcam video shows traffic moving normally across 4 unobstructed lanes when out of nowhere a woman appears in front of a black pickup truck. She keeps walking to the other side like nothing is wrong. The black pickup truck definitely hits its brakes, and the car behind them does so as well, which seems like a realistic response. Then again, there's clearly a red stoplight up ahead. So maybe they were braking for that instead. I don't know why this video is void of color. I'm assuming it's because black and white video would take up less space on the dashcam memory card. But it's safe to say that only a ghost would be able to do what this woman does. Buying surveillance camera footage shows someone getting chased by a much bigger, much scarier person who slings them over their shoulder and drops them into a getaway vehicle. Police are calling this a suspicious incident because it looks more like it could be their last moments on Earth. They are in total fear for their life, so I don't think this is a family dispute. It's something way scarier than that. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.